On the 23rd of May 2020, 3 people in 3 countries were sent a journal with the Journey Fantastique written on the cover. Inside the book, several pages were missing from each copy, 2 pages for every 3. As they started searching the web for any information, all 3 asked for help on Reddit. One post was made in Orbis Obscura, which got a surprising amount of attention for the majority of the stuff posted there. Another post popped up in r/ARG, which spread to similar subreddits. The third post popped up in r/whatisthithing. Eventually, all 3 ended up together, meeting on the first post made in Orbis Obscura. After exchanging information, scanning the pages of their copies, and merging their scans, they made yet another post on Orbis Obscura. A large amount of the book was encoded in ciphers and other forms of cryptographic text. The first chapter was in clear text and was about Phantom of the Opera. Without going over all the boring details, the first clue was Caesar's 12th, an easy cipher to solve. Each chapter contained a clue to solving the next. Most of the puzzles were solved by August, but the last 2 chapters were much harder to decipher. Progress slowed, and September turned to October, and the penultimate chapter was solved. The next chapter was solved at the end of November. Once each of the next chapters were solved, a random account called Fantastique posted a PDF of the solved chapters. Now that we know the order of events, let's talk about the contents of each chapter. The first, as already stated, was about Phantom of the Opera. While the book concedes some would argue otherwise, Phantom of the Opera itself is the first to fulfill all of its requirements for an unfiction story. In the prologue, Phantom's author asserts that the Phantom actually existed. In doing so, it asserts all events within it actually happened. This is an element it uses in the first paragraph and within everything that follows. Along with writing that feels close to the newsprint of the time, the book claims, this assertion makes it a fairly strong unfiction experience. The next chapter was about the War of the Worlds broadcast and reaction in 1938. The book starts by explaining the well-known story. The broadcast is commonly thought to have caused riots, suicides, and panic. The book, however, provides a different perspective. Looking at other outlets, they claim no such panic occurred. It's telling that the outlet that started the claims of panic were owned by the same people who broadcasted it. It was the first, according to the book, multimedia unfiction experience. Wells created an illusion of something more frightening through creating fictional accounts of people's reactions of it. Speaking of aliens, that's exactly what the chapter following it was about, or at least it was the key to the one-time pad that it was encrypted with. It's likely the only chapter that the book itself says is more about a common element used in regular media as well as in nonfiction. In other words, the chapter itself was like an alien entity imitating another. Fitting, as it's about the invasion of the body snatchers. From one kind of imitation to another, the Vigenère cipher key chosen is this shared element between the 2 chapters. This chapter is about Masquerade. The search for the golden hair was the first armchair treasure hunt, a predecessor to the modern ARG. The tragedy of this game follows the world of ARGs to this day. It fell victim to gamejacking. Hair Racer, created by a cheater who stole the golden hair itself. Masquerade was a puzzle. The only true solvers of Masquerade was a group of physics teachers. The cheater stole the prize. The way they solved it was a man who manipulated the girlfriend of the creator of Masquerade. They used their win as a means of giving a scam they made some form of credibility. Imagination was a thing that Hair Racer lacked. Incidentally, inspiration was also the Vigenère key for the next chapter. If Masquerade was the first armchair treasure hunt, The Secret was the first ARG. It took elements from Unfiction from before it and combined it with the format and structure of armchair treasure hunts. Directly inspired by Masquerade, it contains 12 separate puzzles, each one far more difficult than even the puzzle of Masquerade. It created an imaginary world within our own. The whole thing is a fascinating topic. An interesting thing about the next chapter, it was entirely just a single link. This link led to a cloud drive filled with images. The images were all pieces of a puzzle that utilized steganography. The total completion time for every image to be extracted was 2 months. This chapter was about modern nonfiction and ARGs, starting at Ong's hat and ending with The Sun Vanished. Each image relates to the passage contained within them. Interestingly, the next puzzle was fairly unsolvable. The problems with it were fairly basic. On the 4th of December, however, the enigmatic Fantastique released the final chapter, in clear text. It was about kin. Where every other chapter was filled with praise and research about each topic it touched upon, this one was littered with ideas for puzzles. Notes about the story, criticism and loathing, self-deprecation, notes about things that could be fixed, notes about this very video, and it ended. After a single blank page, another message was found. It was a simple one, not too overly complicated. It read, "This is Lucy. I tried to make you a gift you'd love. I'm sorry if you didn't enjoy it. I tried the best I could to make it fun. I had fun making it. I love you.